I think the mass blast has some truth to it now. It always gets mixed up with the bullshit claims that Tony made, right? Tony over amplified it to the extreme degree. What is up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Today's ASMR sip is sponsored by 1907. Check out 1907.com in the description below. Coupon code Russo. ASMR Spritz is Intelligent Elephant Carbon. Coupon code Russo. Gorilla Mind. Coupon code Russo. Check out this pump cover at Young LA. Coupon code Russo. There's the plugs. Today I'm going to be giving my 2 cents on Dr. Tony Huge, Tony Huge Uncensored, whatever alias Tony goes by, Anthony. You know, we're going to be going into his mass blast defense video, right? So if you don't know, I was a part of the mass blast that Tony did way back when with Generation Iron. This was a big splash on the scene, and I did this as a clout move, as well as, you know, I like the enhanced branding of full transparency. Bodybuilding is extremeness behind the curtain. Why is this curtain here? Let's just reveal the truth, and then once the truth is revealed, harm mitigation occurs, and the extreme bodybuilders at least know what they're doing to themselves, and safer methods as far as getting extreme results. So clout move was risky because of the claims made in the video, and I think it traces back to the claims made in the video where it was like 30 pounds in 30 days of mass or something, where, like, you know, muscles, water, glycogen, and you can do things with insulin to, you know, I'm not here to argue the, you know, prognosis of the results, what they thought, was muscle really gained. As far as being a alumni of this crazy experiment, I have it documented in video format on this channel. I'll have Andrew link some videos in the description. I'll have him link a couple videos because I made a lot of content when I did the mass blast. It received shit tons of backlash throughout the bodybuilding community because it just goes against the norm. It looks like Tony's using a cheap gimmick as usual to get attention, which, I mean, there's some truth behind that, but Tony did come out recently after all the back and forth over the mass blast. I mean, it got all the attention Tony was hoping for, and he decided to come out with his defense video on backing it off of someone other than himself. So I feel like this was a cool video for me to react to because everyone is pinning it on Tony and Coach Trevor of starting the mass blast shit, when in reality Tony in this video relates it back to Oxygen Gym. I'll have Andrew play the clip.
The way we do the mass blasts is the way that Oxygen Gym puts on similar amount of muscle on their athletes in a short period of time also. I'd have to say, like, everybody says that our mass blasts are ridiculous and dangerous, or that they don't work, and it's like, when I went to Oxygen Gym, Trevor and I had already developed the mass blast before we went to Oxygen Gym. I actually didn't learn much from Oxygen Gym because it was all the stuff we were already doing that we had already discovered. We were just the first ones to publicly talk about it. And when I went to Oxygen Gym, I was hoping to learn a lot of new information, but instead I learned that they were using a lot of the mass blast tricks that we had already developed before that. So it's what's amazing is, like, how did we arrive at the same conclusion of the best way to build muscle in the shortest period of time possible as Oxygen Gym did? Like, where did this information? I think it was just trial and error.
So yes, Tony traveled the world. I remember when I was the EA poster boy, right? He was traveling the world, doing tons of international networking contacts, setting up companies all over the world, interacting with the international bodybuilding community. And if you were in the scene back in the day, Oxygen Gym was the hottest new international gym that was pumping out mass monsters like nobody's business, because mass, the bubble gut era, that was what was going on when I was on the come up originally. Tony wanted to see what they were doing because, again, I'll have Andrew throw up a picture of Big Ramy, Rolly Rinklar, Brandon Curry. These physiques were all coming out of Oxygen Gym. How are they doing it? And according to Tony, after Tony, Trevor interacted with the trainers, which I know Bader Bodai, I can't remember the trainer off the top of my head. He's an exceptional trainer. I think his name is Abdullah. Anyways, Abdullah, Tony and him went back and forth and basically came down to, again, what Tony's saying in this video, the mass blast of essentially like, so essentially, you know, a bodybuilder will come to Kuwait on gear. They get with Abdullah, they get with Oxygen Gym. You know, they want to turn super pro. They want to make more progress in their pro career. And basically what goes on in Oxygen is they juice you up to the moon. They blast you up to the moon and they do the mass blast protocol of the crazy IGF and or Increlex, which is real IGF. I think they do have a real plug there, my 2 cents. And then they blast you full of gear. They do a very controlled, extreme fucking blast for around 2 to 3 months while feeding you like a pig. And then all that androgenic environment plus the hyperplasia turns it into a new set point. So Andrew just edited my set point video where I talk about different set points you can do enhanced, which is what it comes down to. They change the set point, and then when they go back into the contest prep, they're starting from a heavier set point. They have more to sacrifice as they ramp into the competition. And we can see, again, Brandon Curry's winning physique of Brandon wasn't shit, no offense, before doing that. Now he's like, Brandon could win the Olympia any year he fully dials it, and it's very known. I think the mass blast has some truth to it. Now, it always gets mixed up with the bullshit claims that Tony made, right? Tony over amplified it to the extreme degree and also, you know, made it more that anyone can mass blast, which we know what happens when he does that fucking bullshit shenanigans of like people can't even train normally. Now they're like, if they're told that they can just do this crutch of mass blasting, which in my opinion is this hyper controlled extreme experiment where shit can go wrong, then, you know, any Joe Schmo can gain a bunch of mass. No, that's where Tony finds something. The way he portrays it to capture the broadest audience might work out in a business sense. It doesn't work out with his reputation or, you know, maintaining his clarity on how to make finite claims. He likes walking around the bullshit like that. And overall, what we see what happens at Oxygen Gym, I don't know if you remember, but I've been following Regan Grimes forever. I'm a fan of Regan's physique, his humbleness, and the fact that he's so fucking aesthetic while having so much mass. I think he's a prodigy. And I remember that Tony was with Regan at the time at Oxygen Gym. I was like going back and forth with Tony. I'm like, oh, that's so cool, you're with Regan, da 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 da. Basically, what Tony told me behind the scenes is that, you know, Regan was in a stint in his career as far as Regan looked like an aesthetic god with mass. When you put him against a modern day open, sad to say, he doesn't have enough mass even though he's massive. So he went to Oxygen to hopefully keep up with the big boys, right? He's seeing who's winning. He sees what they're doing. He sees the gym they're training at. He sees how they're treated like royalty there as far as Oxygen Gym in Kuwait. Bodybuilding's their only thing. They're dumping tons of money into bodybuilding. Bodybuilders are like heavily respected there. They're not viewed as like freak shows like they are in the United States. Regan Grimes goes over. They mass blast Regan Grimes. It is what it is. That happened. They wanted him to get up above 300, be the next Ramy is what Tony was telling me about, and how they were pushing the protocol to the extreme. Again, this is all temporary, but did it create a new set point for Regan to go into a prep? That's for you to decide. Basically what I'm saying is like, this is the first video where Tony falls back. He lets the bullshit go for a bit and he reveals there is a lot of truth behind what he's saying in the most extreme situations of open bodybuilding, that these mass blasts go on and that overall the extreme abuse of insulin, HGH, Increlex, IGF-1LR3 paired with tons of anabolics in a short finite blast of binge eating to create a new set point lean physique to then shred up into a prep, like to have a heavier base set point to shred into prep is something that happens, and that's a mass blast, and he wanted to take that to the general public. That's where you can weigh in arguments that go against of like, oh my god, like why the fuck. It's cool that that's what's going on at the upper echelon with the elite level pros who actually can train to match the cycle, meaning like if you do this crazy cycle cycle and don't train hard enough, just ruining your health. Or if you're not eating enough, just ruining your health. Or if you realize that you can't do that for that long and you got to get your results and then go back to cleaning out everything, again, ruining your health. Why would you give that to the general public when they can't even do like a regular bullshit cycle correctly, most of them? Again, up for your argument. Does the mass blast hold some weight in my mind? Yes. Is it something that's generalized and should be given to the public? Fuck no. And I can see why I got the backlash it did, especially when you do it to, again, me in the documentary, other people. It's a weird thing where you're showcasing like elite level cycling of someone who is already way over the line of abuse. It doesn't really apply to the average enhanced person at the gym. They're not doing shit nearly correct enough, nor are they training hard enough, nor are they eating enough. And really, it's to showcase the extremeness that goes on at the upper echelon of bodybuilding. But I agree that for the general public, it's once again dangerous information that, again, it might be rooted in something. But as far as making the claims of you can gain 30 pounds in 30 days and that, I don't know the claims that were made with me. I did maintain some of my results after the mass blast, although like immediately after I went into a cruise and cleaned out, right? That was a clout move for me. I did look pretty crazy when I got home and the drugs were filtering out because that was the most amount of drugs I ever did. There is some truth behind the mass blast. What are your thoughts down below? I'll see you guys in my next video.